All that for humans, and I haven't done any low-tier things in a while, which means now we're going to look at the M4 Sherman. Well, to be more precise, all of them. That's a lot. It goes from tier 5 all the way up to tier 8 with the M4A1 Revelarise, which is just an M4 Sherman with a French 105mm gun on it. So, in essence, that one's disregarded because it's a bit different. Now, most of these all do have 160 alpha damage. It is the same 76mm gun or 75mm on the older ones because the original Sherman had a 75mm, then it got upgraded to the 76, which, in the case of the Sherman Firefly, was, for example, able to penetrate a Tiger 1. In terms of the armor, let's have a look at that first because none of them have any. The only one that does have armor is the Sherman Jumbo, which has quite a bit of it. Absolutely no idea what the Sherman EZ8 is. I guess it's new, or maybe not. The weapon handling of all of them is not great. Obviously, the low tiers and .36 is shit. Now, the Loza is one exception here that is very, very accurate. And then you still go back to .36. But then if we go to the Firefly has some mighty accuracy. However, only has 6 degrees of gun depression, while most of them has 12 or 10. And the high score is a bit of a odd one because it's not based on the same gun. It's a 105mm howitzer basically that has horrible penetration. Mobility, obviously, given that it's sort of the same tank except for the EZ8 here, it's somewhere around 15, which is fine-ish. It's not great, obviously, but it's doable. The OG Sherman is the one I'll play first. Now, this thing might as well have been one, if not the best tank of World War II. Why? It was able to be repaired easily. You could build it in massive amounts of quantity. It was good. The crew didn't get set on fire every time it was hit, like it did in the T-34. And obviously it was built to a scale that was actually usable, like the Tiger. And also, this thing had a lot more sensible model choices, rather than the way the Germans did it, where if they changed a light, new tank model, no instructions, have fun. So, this was pretty much the best of tank building that you can essentially have in the early periods of World War II. Now, obviously got upgraded quite a bit. You then have the Sherman Firefly, which could even fight a Tiger, so, you know, Kitty was not very effective then. So, let's see what we can do now. This is obviously a tier 6 game, which is not great for this little tank. And to be honest, the only thing that really changes is the DPM up to the tier 6 versions. There are obviously some bigger diversions from the regular Sherman, like for example the high score or the Jumbo, but in general the formula always stays the same. The tanks always look the same. It's a pretty tall tank with narrow tracks, which might not always be the best idea, but it works. So let's see what we can do here. This is a bit of chaotic battle. Obviously it's tier 6, so brain is not here, but at least you can predict it, because I do prefer low tier brain dead people a lot more than the ones at tier 10, because at tier 10 you might expect them to have some form of competence. They don't, but in tier 6 you can adapt to it a lot better and it's a lot more fun. So if you're bored of tier 10, try a couple of low tier battles, because they can be fun. So now I'll try to go for that KB1S. Obviously 400 alpha damage, which is half my hit points. Well, way more than half. So 650 hit points on this vehicle, and he has 400 alpha damage, which makes the KB1S kind of dangerous. And that guy can one-shot me with AP, which makes it even worse. Okay, 3v2, which is not helpful. Now, ideally, I want this KB2 to fight the Eraser, but he is not going to do that. He is instead going to try to push me. This is obviously not a great idea, because I can sort of scoot out of here, hopefully. Get around the rock and cover myself. 1.3k damage, which is solid already. And now, ideally, their Razor comes back to help. But actually, I have to peek. I'm going to do it anyway. So there we go. There's the VK. It's a tier 6. He's no more. Beautiful. Now, let's turn around. T-34A5, which is better than the standard T-34. But then again, you have the EZ8 on the American side, which we'll get into. But as for a tier 5, if you're trying to go for the M48 pattern, this is a solid vehicle to learn the basics of media gameplay, as in, don't rely on your armor too much. You might struggle a bit with penetration, and even though your mobility is good, it can be better. because the Fury is in the shop, the Fury is the one that's next, and really, this is just an easy 8 with a skin, so it's the same tank again. And it's also very similar to the Firefly. Obviously, in Blitz, there are quite a couple of differences, but basically, if you play this thing, you play the Easy 8, you play the Firefly, it's the same in terms of the playstyle. Some stats are always going to be different from tank to tank, otherwise it would be extremely boring. However, if you got the base concept, then it plays the same. Now, the Panzer 5-4 is a very fun little tier 5 tank, which means if you're looking to ram some Leopards, or just have a good time, I can recommend picking that thing up. So, Panzer 4G. There is a lot of models of Panzer 4, but obviously because the Germans had a massive shortage of anything that was needed for building tanks, it wasn't really fun. So, Basotto's gonna yield on me now, which is not very helpful. So let's get out of there. The Basotto has a very, very good gun, so you want to definitely watch out for that. And now I'm gonna back off out of here because 300 alpha damage or something like that is no joke. Okay. But this player apparently is a joke, so that's good. Now, can you play this thing and have fun and get on your way to the M40A pattern? Or the FE422 if you're in the British line. Obviously, this is a Fury, this is a premium tank, it makes creds. However, the tank plays the same. And it is the same. Basically, if you play the Easy 8, you played this thing. It's the same. You just have to pay for this one, which, if you want it for the collector value, sure. Other than that, there's no point. So I'll go for the LC, it was AFK, which is a bit sad. But, he's tiny, he's cute, he's dead. That's good. Now, Churchills are very annoying, especially with a gun like this that only has 128 standard penetration at tier 6. And also against tier 7 heavies, ironically, like a Tiger, you are gonna struggle big time with these tanks. Because in Blitz, obviously, it's a tier 6. It's not designed to do that. You have 177 millimeters of APCR penetration, which is just about enough to go through most of them. For example, the front plate of the Tiger is gonna be plenty enough to go through there. However, if it's more angled, then you might have a couple of problems there. Now we're going to go for this Churchill, shoot him up the rear. Churchill's also a pretty good tank. Well, was in real life, in Blitz it's slow and boring. However, it works. So overall, what do you have? You have a very reliable base with this thing. If you play the M4 Sherman, you've played them all. Because essentially the only thing that changes is the DPM, the accuracy, and the mobility, slightly. The armor always stays the same, and that it doesn't have any, except the Jumbo. But the Jumbo is a special little boy.